Welcome. You have tuned into The Ties That Bind, our family meeting. My name is Paula, and I am your griot, which is simply meant storyteller or historian in ancient Africa. I'm joined with my co-host James, the bridge, and other co-host Tiffany, our strategizer.
And I'm here with my two co-hosts, James and Tiffany, and we're finishing our conversation that we were talking about last week regarding police brutality. There's no word for it. We can call it police brutality, but there's another way that we need to go about this. And so I wanted to talk to them about it, but I'm going to turn it over to my co-host right now so that they can introduce themselves and we can get on the bandwagon.
All right, Paula, thank you. I'm James. I'm known as the Bridge, and I'm here to use myself as a tool to bridge the gap between the differences we have in our families and basically in our communities. I believe that the problems that we have are more the same than kind of different, and from these experiences that we have, we can finally start to come together and move forward.
Yes.
All right, and I am Tiffany, and I am the strategist of the group. And what I like to try and do is bring actual building blocks, actual tangible steps that you can take to strengthen yourself, strengthen your family, and bring that strength out to the community at large.
Yes. And so, again, my name is Paula. I am what they call the storyteller, the historian, and we're gonna get into this, and you'll figure out why each one of us are in that what we call ourselves. And this is our gift. And so we're talking about this police brutality, and I think this week it's so much that's going on. We had a police that assaulted a young lady here in Alabama, and it was in Tuscaloosa, and I thought, I was just like, what is he talking about? Because you couldn't really see. It's like he switched. It's like he turned the camera to the side so you couldn't really see what was going on. And how am I going to say this? I guess we have to tell you the story. Well, you know the story. My thing of it when I started listening to watching the video, and a lot of times I'll watch it, but I'm listening to what I hear. And so I'm watching it and listening to this, and the first thing I'm seeing is he's lying. He's saying, "Why don't take this? You trying to go for my gun?" And that was something totally contrast to when he walked up to the car, and he just was pulling over for a brake light or just a plain, just a normal ticket. And then he asked her to get out the car, which made utter nonsense because she was just getting her driver's license. I can see if she did something or made some kind of move or she did something, and her voice was she wasn't being disgruntled. She wasn't. Her voice was low. She wasn't going. See, because I know with me, my voice it would have carried a little bit, and then it started, and then there's another police officer. Like I said, one takes up for the other, and as long as you're lying, it's never going to get any better. But the police chief here, what I saw here and what I got on the internet were two different things. What the one on the internet is a little bit longer. What they showed us on the news here in Alabama, they took maybe 2 seconds to show you what was going on. And the police chief came out, and he took up for the police officer that he was doing his job, that he did blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, I don't even know how you could think that from what we saw. Because he had said he saw, and then he said he looked at the video again, and he thought that the police officer was out he did the wrong thing. He shouldn't have done what he did. And I'm just like, it took you to look at it the second time for you to see this, and it was I'm upset, and I'm upset by a whole lot of things. But I'm going to turn it over to James and Tiffany because you all did see it? Yes.
Yeah. I definitely saw that video. I mean, it was disturbing to say the least. Especially, you could tell during the whole thing, the lady was like, "Please don't do this," you know.
Right.
She kind of knew what was about to happen. You know,
right.
And that
sometimes
was
you
kind
can
of
see
sad.
that look in their eyes. You know what's going to happen. But I just had to say that. But go ahead.
Yeah. So she's like, "Please don't do this." She was pleading, like, "Look, please don't do this." You know, I'm a lady. She said something along that lines. I'm a lady, and you could tell he intentionally threw his camera off of his body. You could just tell. That's one of the first things.
Right, he threw it. Yeah, that's the better way to describe it. He's literally like you can hear it come off of his shirt, like it clipped off.
Right. Right, and I think that's just kind of sad, you know, that we have to still witness these type of acts, you know, and it feels like for me it feels like a lot of things haven't changed through all the years, especially people of color, all the stuff that we've been through. It feels like we're just going through the same thing, like we're just constantly being traumatized by these experiences when it comes to the police in our neighborhoods and stuff like that. So, I don't know I know how he could say he didn't see anything the first time is because, you know, there is this the same old. It's kind of like police sticking up for police officers.
Right.
And then it's kind of like he got pushed to the edge, and then he had to look at it a second time. Now, somebody called somebody called him. Right, somebody gave him a call and be like, "Look, you need to go take care of this," and you know,
you can take care of this.
Something came down from up above.
And I don't remember her name. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
In this age, you know, you can't just push it under the rug because there's too many people watching. So they tried it, and they're used to people just being kind of asleep and not really paying attention and not really caring one way or the other. When they start getting pushed back, it's like, okay, we can't play this game the same way because people are watching. And unless you want to have people marching up and down your street and burning your buildings down, something has to happen.
Right. Yes. It's you. We're saying we woke, but you're not. Well, it's only. We're saying that we're awake or woke. I don't know what the woke scenario. I've heard it. I've not followed it, so I don't know what they mean. But I'm thinking that, okay, wake up. Okay, now I'm up. I'm woke. You know, I'm woke. I'm up. I'm up now. But we're up. But we're and what she's saying. I'm going. This is not gonna end. This is what they. I heard it on CNN. I think it was some other. It was another video. She was talking, and somebody had interviewed her, and she had her boyfriend, husband. I don't know who it was that was next to her. She was just like, we're not going to allow this to linger. We're not going to let this happen. And I agree. We don't need to let this just happen. But just going and suing the city, suing someone, yes, you need to have, because that's the only way you're going to get attention about it. But there needs to be an apology for this. And not just from the one who didn't do it. The one who did it needs to do a sincere apology. They went behind that. I have never heard a police officer apologize for anything that they've done, nor the police department. No apologizes. No one apologizes. They just go to court and they know that they can hang you up for years, for months and years, with you trying to sue. But at a certain point, get your money, yes, but that's not enough. This is going on. This is going too far. This is too much. It's we didn't even get into the other ones. There was another, what is the name? There was a brother and a sister, and the police officer, and I've seen a couple of other, I'm going to put all these, we're talking about this, I'm going to put it up on our site for you to see it for yourself. We're telling you what our opinions are on it, and if you haven't, and one thing I learned a long time ago, when I was in middle school, and I had gone somewhere, and somebody had come up, and I think my dad had taken us somewhere, and one of the adults had asked, they were having a conversation, and I guess because I was sitting there watching and listening, and I guess to them it was just a joke, but I was always a serious one. And he said, well, what do you think about that? And I'm thinking, I don't even know what you're talking about. And I remember thinking, I will never be in another conversation or be in a position where I don't have, not only you can't have an opinion about something that you don't do any research on, that you haven't done, you haven't read it, you don't know what's going on. I want to be in the know, and I want to have an opinion about it. And we can discuss it. Your opinion is one way or the other. We may not agree. We don't have to fight about it. We don't have to go to blows. But right is right and wrong is wrong. And we're going to have to get to a point where we are not just allowing things just to see it on television. But we got to go and we got to do our research. We got to know what happened. We got to know, we got to call for certain things to happen, because these officers, they're going off, they're basically having a vacation on our dime. Our taxpayer dollars are paying for them to what do they call it when you're on suspension or whatever? But they're still getting paid. And why are you being paid? Why are you getting paid?
A lot of that has to do with letting the media blow itself over.
Yeah.
They're waiting for the newscasters to find something else to shoot so they can go back to business as usual.
For sure. And this is, I think we're seeing this, but we're going about it in a manner that is not effective. I was doing some research. And Tiffany, I hadn't even had your say on this, because I'll start talking because this is emotional for me. This is because I have a lot of the stuff to bring into it. So I'm going to go to Tiffany and let them finish having the conversation that they were saying about it, what they got from it. Because we don't talk about this before we get on here. We want to make this for real.
Well, I mean, I try to bring a little bit of balance to, I guess, to the conversation, because like I said before in the previous conversation, I am also a police officer. Now, I am not a patrolling officer anymore. My career has kind of moved past that, but I've spent almost a decade patrolling, actually on the streets and interacting with people, at whatever capacity. So one thing that I heard that stuck with me is good cops don't let bad cops do bad things.
Right.
And what that means is, you have to be accountable. And if your partner or battle buddy or whatever you want to call it is doing the wrong thing, you have a responsibility to hold them to the fire, even if it means you need to, if talking to them directly doesn't help, report them. You have a responsibility to do that. Because they're supposed to be protecting the community that you serve in. And it's just an injustice to see. I mean, looking at the video, you can see within the first few seconds that she's not aggressive, she's not hostile, she's just looking out her window because he approached her, and he took it to. He came in. It's like he came in to create a problem.
Aggressive, yes.
And it's that thing where you're guilty of doing whatever while black, and if she had been if she had been a different shade, she wouldn't have been approached in that manner.
Exactly. Never. You've never, out of all the videos I've never seen a Caucasian go through where they have put these, and I want to take it off I don't want to take it off of our men, because they go further with our men. Oh my God. But to grab them by the hair, to knock them on the ground, to do all this stuff, you think you did that to a white female? Oh, let's just be real. Let's just call it a fade. No, they wouldn't.
No, especially the way how he was just talking to her too. Like, if you do this, I'm gonna knock your teeth out. I mean, he was talking to her so aggressively and so unprofessionally. You know, that alone should have that alone, just the way that he was speaking to her, should have got him in trouble.
Right.
If he wouldn't even touched her and was just speaking to her like that, you know, that should have got him in trouble by itself. And I think with any other, like you said, any other skin tone that was lighter than what most black people are in this country, you know, he wouldn't. One thing, he wouldn't have approached them like that. Another thing, if he would have approached them like that, you know, he would have got in trouble. You know, and like I said, I see other cultures, other lighter cultures, other Caucasians, you know, talking to police crazy. You know, they talk to them crazy out there in the streets. You know, and they still don't get that type of they still don't get that type of response. You know, so I mean, there's definitely got to be a big change that needs to happen because you know, like you said, call a spade. What's right is right. You know, and what's wrong is wrong, and you have to see that within these situations.
Exactly, because you can't just keep on saying, oh, you are taking this to this, you being racial, you're taking this, you're putting color in. You put the color in it first, because you wouldn't have done that had it been someone else. And to prove this fact, I'm going to put the videos up there. To prove this fact, you have documentation showing that this would not have happened if. It's to me, you have a fiduciary responsibility to us as I am a part of your constituents. I don't want to say constituents. I am a taxpayer. And they're talking about double taxation when they were fighting about decades and hundreds of centuries ago. We are being taxed out of the wazoo for everything. We get taxed for our phone. And then the city gets part of that, and the state gets part of that. And we get taxed for our groceries. They get a part of this. And everything is being taxed. And then you're going to say that you don't have any rights? I don't care what I do, my taxpayer dollars are paying for you to be in this position that you're in. And it's just, I'm not saying that all officers are bad, but if you do what happens with good people, what does the Bible say? There's a scripture in the Bible that says, bad company corrupts good morals. And I'm paraphrasing it, but that's what it's saying. And you can't say that, I'm a good police officer when I'm there, and when you witness that and you say do nothing, and you just stand there. And so if we as a people, we have to stand up and be counted. We have to do our due diligence and know what we're talking about, not just from emotion. Yeah, emotions will get you so far for so long. Go by some facts. Go and get some statistics. Go and listen. Go and read. Go and make sure that you're calling this for whatever it is. I know we have started this, and we were really going to make it be a couple of days, a couple of times that we did this from 1 week to the next. And as we got online, I had people, and I know Tiffany did too, people to send me videos of videos from Facebook or wherever of other police brutality that hasn't made the national news. They haven't made the news, the news situation. And they were talking, I was listening to the other day, they found the police officer dead in, I'm just going to call it like it is. It's in Vestavia here in Alabama, and they found him dead. Now, at first they were saying, X, Y, and Z, they had their own, they were putting it, they weren't saying it, but they were putting it in a manner that it was nefarious or some criminal activity or something from somebody else doing it. And then when they found out they were talking about it, and it says, well, we know this is they found him outside somewhere, and it was a family. What do they call it when it's something from in the family? What do they call it, Tip?
I don't understand what you're saying.
Like when like if I abuse my husband or my husband abuses me, they call it specific. Domestic. Yes. It was a domestic situation. They said it very low, and they walked away from it. Nobody called to say that this person needs to go to jail. They need to be underneath the jail. Like we did this is a life. They did this, worse than this, and Justice, the guy from that show, when he just made a lie, they made it seem like he had killed somebody in the street, that he had murdered several people. Mm-hmm. And they didn't do that. The same wrong is wrong, and you can't pretend that one thing is a lower level because somebody else did it, because these were Caucasians. Caucasian. It was a police officer that had been, but he got killed by someone in his own family, and so they didn't take it any further. To this day, I haven't heard anything else. And so we are going through a situation now where it's just. And to my Caucasian friends, I'm not, you know me, I'm going to say this, we've talked about this. And so I'm not saying anything, and I have friends from around the nation, from around the world, and not just here in America, not just black and white. I've got Mexican friends. I've got Venezuelan friends. I've got, let's call it South American friends. Why they call it South America, I don't know. But these are things that we have to, at a point, just like what happened in Puerto Rico, and they still don't have their lights. Everybody didn't have their lights on. People died over there. They still don't need what they have to. They don't have what they need to have over there. And then we have someone saying we sent billions of dollars over there, and they're barely making it. This is, and we allow this to happen, but if you continue to allow this to happen to someone else, guess what? It's going to happen to you sooner or later. And then what is going to be your excuse then? What are you going to do then? Act as though this was your family. Act as though it was you. What would you do? Instead of saying, what would Jesus do? What would you do? How would you feel? What would you want to happen?
Right, because the question that comes into my mind, what I would love to be able to say to that police chief that, came out and said that they were going to look at it a little further, how would you react if you saw a video of someone telling your daughter he was going to kick her teeth in?
Right. Mm-hmm. Yes. No, he said he was going to bust her noggin open. Those are his words.
I mean, regardless, it's very simple. Just to say those type of words to anybody, just because. And like I said, this lady wasn't doing anything. I'm not going to say the lady was harmless, but the lady was definitely not showing any type of aggression towards the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I looked at some of the comments of people, and I don't know why I get myself into that, because they fall into that whole agenda, and they're always talking about, well, you don't know the whole story, and you don't know what she did beforehand. Right. And honestly, it doesn't matter what she did beforehand, because when you walk up to her, she was compliant, she was not disrespectful, right. She was not doing anything to warrant any type of physical altercation.
Right.
Well, guess what? We got the video not from where she was taking. This came from the police department. If she had been, if there was something that she had been doing that would have warranted that, trust me, that would have been the first thing they would have shown. So stop saying we don't know what happened. This is not somebody across the street taking this video. This is a police camera.
And then
he went over.
It doesn't matter what happened beforehand.
Right.
It doesn't matter, because she was in her vehicle, facing the way she was traveling, not yelling, not screaming, not shooting, not throwing anything, not doing anything aggressive in any way. No matter what she did, whether she shoplifted, whether she punched somebody in the face, whether she ran over somebody's dog, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
That is not how you approach someone. You're taught this. You were taught how to handle a situation. You're taught how to speak to people, to de-escalate. Your goal is to de-escalate, not to go in and inflame a situation.
See, and that's from you, as a police officer. You're looking at this logically, but even as a lay person looking at this with emotion, there was no emotion from her side that you could say, we don't know what she did. If you go and you put 1 + 1 together, you saw him from the camera walk up to her car. You saw him and her going to look in her thing to get her driver's license and then go to her glove compartment. I do this all the time. Go to my glove compartment, pull out the information that my insurance, and then you're going to say, step out of the car. And she's looking at him. We don't know. Now, what you need to be saying is you don't know how he was looking at her. I've seen that hateful expression. I think about I won't go to another subject. I keep trying to stay on track. Tiffany, thank you so very much. I know that you're getting ready to pull me in. If we just look at this logically, look at this, if it were you, and look at this, and half the time this was you. This has been me. I have seen this hateful look that they give. I have seen people put me in a position they think that I'm going to react in a adverse manner so that everybody can see. Now, see, this is what I'm trying to tell you. This is how they act. And I have seen this, but it was only because of, I can only say my parents raised us in a certain manner that I was able to respond in a specific manner. Now, have I gone over the top on some issues? Yeah, I have. But when it comes down to something really serious about this, like this, I go in a different manner. And we got to stop saying we don't know what happened and call police out to say, if I'm tired of you saying we need to train, because you all have been training for decades now. If you ain't got it by now, then you need to start firing.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be more.
Not even just firing. You need to press charges when you split through illegal activities. Exactly. There's such a thing as a legal stop and an illegal stop. You can't just walk up to somebody and tell them to get out of their car if they're not doing anything actively illegal. You can't do that.
Exactly.
They have to give you reasonable suspicion. There's laws. There's court cases. There's court findings that say you can't just walk up to someone and take you out of their car. They can tell you, hell no, bring all your friends. I'm not getting out of my car. They have to do that. And you see white citizens do it all the time.
And I didn't even think about that until you just said that. And that's true. It wasn't like she rolled down her windows and you saw smoke coming up out there. And you could say, "Oh, I think that's marijuana. I think you're doing it." There was no probable cause. And that's true.
But she did wrong. Until later. So he wasn't even telling her what she did. He said, "You know what? Why don't you just go ahead and get out the car?" You know what I'm saying? And that was just like crazy. Like, really? You was going to tell her to drag out the car? So
exactly.
It was crazy.
Say, I stopped you because of your, do you know why I stopped you? Oh, your light was out. Or you ran a stop sign. Or you did X, Y, Z. He only did that when he was trying to make up a lie. Because he's going to say, you're going to try to reach for this? I'm just like, okay, now you're going to put this in front of the camera, but you didn't put anything else in front of the camera. And no one, I don't know whether you all saw this part. This is the video that I got. He actually, after he had her on the ground, his I guess, what do they call it, the one that was riding with him or drove up, had her in handcuffs. He went over. I guess he thought she was recording something. He tried to destroy her camera. And no one has said anything about that. Everybody has gotten silent. The news has just gotten, the news here showed it one time. And then they showed 2 seconds. I'm not even going to say it was 3 seconds. It was 2 seconds. And we haven't heard anything else. And I'm just like, oh, my goodness. When is enough enough? When are you going to say it's just not us saying, oh, you did this because we're black, when you can put 2 and 2 together? 1 and 1. You ain't got to, okay, we don't have to go that far. Maybe you can't add 2 and 2. Let's just say 1 plus 1. I think Leah can add that together. And so if you want, I say this because I'm trying to stay on track, but there were some things that I have been going through, and I've been fighting this battle for a bit. And then I went, and the people who were making the laws that I had to go by, and I asked for a hearing on this situation. I get online. I'm trying to find all the information. They told me nothing because they thought I was a dum-dum, I guess. And I want to find out this information. And not only were you telling me you didn't want me to use taxpayer money, you got paid for the government because I'm disabled. I have MS. I hate to say I'm disabled. This is what I am because I can't do what I need to do. They're getting $13,000 a year to help me to help myself to find a job. And these are things you got to know. They're acting as if you're taking something away from you. They want to say, oh, you're taking taxpayer money. You're doing this, and you're trying to. Oh, you're getting food stamps. We don't want to say who mostly are getting the food stamps, but they're calling everything what it's not, and you got to see what they're not saying. Stop hearing what they're. Stop being angry about what they're telling you, and get angry about what they're not saying to you. And that's going to have to be you picking up a book, you going and informing yourself on what's going on. It's going to have to be for you intelligently and, yes, emphatically saying, this, you were wrong. This is by these laws that you're supposed to be standing up for. You were wrong, and subsection 201 will tell you that. But you've got to or get somebody who can help you to do this. Everybody's not going to be able to do this. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm just saying, but because all of it is propaganda. Especially against the black community. So it's kind of hard, for somebody to actually dig deeper than what they see. And I'm not trying to give anybody any excuses. What I'm saying? But it's very difficult, because when you get certain images implanted in your head, you think that this is the way that it really is. I've met people in the military. I met white people in the military who had never dealt with black people ever in their life.
Yeah.
Okay, until they joined the military. And I have had people talk to me like, yo, I didn't know that y'all were like this. I didn't know y'all were intelligent. I didn't know, I just thought that y'all were thugs and yeah, I'm serious. I'm serious.
Right.
Like these people they come from the middle of nowhere. Well, I'm not gonna say middle of nowhere, but where they're from, there are no black people there. Okay, they never interacted with black people ever in their life. Okay, so when they get the chance to actually meet black people up front, a lot of them are kind of hesitant until you're forced to work with somebody, until you're forced to work with black people. Then you see that it's not what people told you it was.
You think it is?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And then you got to ask yourself. Then you got to start asking yourself questions. They've been lying to me all this time. What have I based my opinions on all this time? What else have they lied to me about? You got to do a self-assessment of yourself. You have to know that things are not. It's not just white people that have not encountered black people. There are some black people. They may have encountered them when they got to go do business, but on a daily basis, they don't know. They don't know what's out there because you keep yourself in this little circle, and and it's me and mine and nobody else. It's me and people who look just like me, and I'm going to keep everybody else on the outside. And that's what segregation was all about. They did that so that you wouldn't be able to see that it wasn't the way that they were telling you that it was.
Right.
Right.
You know, and I'm in place now. They still have segregated schools. I hate to say that, but they do. And everybody's okay with it. Yeah, well, that's just the way it is.
They're not just okay. They will fight to protect it. I mean, you're talking about these you know, upper middle class women that are paying millions of dollars to get their kids to Ivy League schools. Meanwhile, you know, average black, you know, multi-job having mom in the suburbs or in the city is going to prison for just sending their child to the wrong school and the wrong zip code. No money is exchanged. You know,
exactly.
Right.
No one got paid under the table. They just sent their kids to the wrong school, the wrong school district, trying to give their child, you know, trying to help their child get an advantage or give them a safer environment, and they go to prison, still in prison to this day.
Yes.
Right. Crazy.
1.5. You're gonna pay $1 million is to get your child. Now she had some melanin in her skin, so she had to go a little bit further. And I'm just like, why do you have to pay to get your child into college instead of teaching them, getting them? If you can say the children don't know, you know that you have not made the grades to be here. You know this. You know your parents have done something. You know the kids did not know. Yes, they did know, but you can't hold the kids responsible. It was the parents. And why is it that you felt like they couldn't get there? And then you get angry when somebody else has earned their way in there, and then you're going to say, well, you know, they don't have this, that, and the other. They shouldn't be at this school. Well, now we got to look and see whether you're supposed to be there now or not. Really? So these are things, when you hear things like this, you got to pay attention to more than what you heard. You got to pay attention to what you didn't hear. Because there's more to a story than what's been told. There's more than a story than what a reporter can tell you. There's more to it than that. I'm sorry, go ahead.
And that's in every situation. I mean, you're exactly right. That's in every situation. That's why, you know, you have to take time to analyze what's going on whenever you see it, you know. Because some things are meant to get you emotional and meant to get you in your emotions and get you emotionally charged as well, you know. So you gotta kind of live a balanced life, in my opinion, because, you know, we're talking about police brutality, and, you know, and that still raises a lot of emotion within people. Right. You know, we still have to learn how to maneuver around these things so we won't let the emotion take over, right? So we can stop, think, and make a plan on what we need to do next instead of saying, oh, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong. We need to come up with a solution to follow these acts that are going on.
Yes. Because I was talking to some young people this week, and I was just like, well, what do you think about this? What do you think? I said, has this happened to you? These were young black men, and I said, has it happened to you? Are you afraid? So, I have not been, nothing like that has happened to me. I said, so you're in college, and no one there has ever experienced anything like this before. Well, you know, we don't talk about it. Well, you know, I don't care. I don't put myself in positions like that, and I don't care. Da 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 da. And I'm just like, I said, but okay. My thing is to ask you this, because my question to them was, do you have a plan if something happens and the police officer, you get pulled over and something goes awry? I said, do you have a plan? I don't think about stuff like that. I don't even let that go across my mind. I said, but you got to have a plan. And they don't, and it's not just because they haven't even got to be 25 yet. But it's the parents have got to instill this in them. Now, did my parents instill this in us from the time that we were young? There were things they instilled in us, like, and I didn't even know what it meant. don't drink and drive, you know. And I'm just like, what is that? I thought it was, my mom was drinking a soda one time, and we were going down the road. I said, Mama, you know you're not supposed to drink and drive. And she sort of laughed, and I'm just like, but I was a child. I think I was in the elementary school. And I was just like, what are you doing? And she was just like, no, they're not. Okay, I'm gonna put it down. She just sort of put it down. But even from the point, they would tell us, if you have something to drink and you walk away from it and it's not in your control all the time, don't go back and drink that. And we didn't even know what that was. I did not understand what that meant until I got to college. And I went and I talked to these people. We went to these places, and these people had walked away from their drink and somebody put something in it. And they're saying this, but they're either in jail or they're in a mental institution now. So these are things that you have got to start putting let your children not. My grandparents told us stuff about Jim Crow. They didn't call it Jim Crow. They didn't call it racism. They didn't call it white. They didn't call it black. They told us things that they went through when they were younger. They didn't say it in an angry manner. They didn't say it was so that we would. They would tell us how they responded, what happened to them, and how they had to respond at that time. And they let you, and they would tell it to you in a point. And as you get older, you start to say, now, how am I going to deal if somebody did that to me? How would I respond to that? You know what I'm saying? And so you got to let your child have these. What do they call it? What did you call it, James? These. You have to know how to have a mental discussion with yourself, or to know what's going on. Okay, and how do I respond to this? And okay, who's gonna have my back if I respond in a crazy manner? And then you go and you tell somebody that needs to be told. If there are things that happen in school that I didn't understand in elementary school, I would go home and tell my mom. She said she did this and she told me this, that, and the other. She went out of her way to say, I'm going to talk to the teacher. Don't you go down there and disrespect that teacher. Don't you go down there and do this, that, and the other. I'm going to handle it. Let me handle this. And guess what? When I heard that Buffalo nickel going through the hallway, my mama was coming to handle it. And she never said anything else to us about it. It just didn't happen anymore.
I mean, even though, because, people are, I believe that most black families try to take their kids through that and try to get them prepared for those type of situations. Either they might not have the exact words to say to their kids, they kind of let them know what's going on in the community. But, with most of these cases that we're seeing, most of the people are complying. They're not doing anything wrong.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They're doing exactly what they were taught to do. Yeah, they're doing the right thing. So at what point does that what's the plan when you're saying yes sir, no sir, I got what you need, yes sir, I got my gun I have a gun in the car and it's in there, blah 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 blah. You know what I'm saying? You're not doing anything wrong. What's the plan after that? You know what I'm saying? What can you say?
Okay.
Like, what can you teach somebody after that point when they are totally being compliant with a police officer and you still get shot and killed in your car?
To answer you on that, and what I was telling them was, I said, when I got here, I said, this is what I did. I said, I did it before when I was in Dallas. I said, we have these phones. It has a camera on it. You can put extra thing in there so you can have more space to do what you got to do. When I went somewhere and I didn't know where I was going, I put that camera and it ran put it on low resolution, and the whole time I was in that car, guess what? That camera was there. And if the police gets there, and you want to, and these phones are intelligent enough to let you press a button so it can go straight up to the internet. These are things you got to be smart. You got to have a plan.
That's not stopping the acts from happening. Most of these cops know they're getting videotapes.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It's not stopping the acts from happening. These people are still getting killed on camera. I can't tell you how many people I've seen get killed on camera.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Getting shot on camera.
Right.
Yeah, you see the whole act, and then they still get off.
Responsible for that at that point because it's on camera. But you
I
can't
get
say
that, but it's not
did
happening.
Oh yeah, you can unring a bell for sure, but you're gonna have to stay out of the street. Stop being this, that, and the other. You're just gonna have to. Your parents are gonna have to make sure that they're keeping you safe and that they're making sure that it's X, Y, and Z, and that you're teaching them that it's what I'm saying.
You're saying X, Y, and Z, but that doesn't really mean anything. I mean, you're saying X, Y, and Z, but what does that actually mean? Because if you've
got a camera,
Philando Castile, for example, had a camera. He did what he was supposed to do. The police told him to put his hands out of the window. He put his hands out of the window. He told the police officer, I have a weapon in my car. I'm a registered weapon owner. And the police officer shot him on camera.
Right.
In his chest. With a child sitting right behind him.
Yeah.
Right. And somebody should have, instead of trying to sue them, that's what I'm saying. This back in the day, they didn't have a camera. That man that the police officer pulled over in Mississippi, this has been decades, centuries ago. This has been when black people couldn't walk the street, much less drive. And he was going home. The police officer asked him to get in the car with them. You couldn't say no. He got in the car, and the moment he got in the car with his dog, they shot him in the head, and then they shot his dog. And through him, the only reason that they were able to go back and say to hold them responsible for this, it was because it was a national monument that they did this on. They ended up, that's how they could end up, because they went to court and an all-white jury for a white man found him not guilty. And so everybody else was afraid. And the man later said, yeah, I was there when he shot him. The brain splattered on my face. But no one can be held responsible for that. No one can say anything about that. You can't say this didn't happen.
But we've seen, and we're looking at it. We're looking at this is national news, Paula. This is not just something that was locally done. This was national news. This man getting shot and killed on camera, and the police still get off for it. You see what I'm saying? They're being held responsible. There's no way to say that this person did or did not do it. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, what's right is right. What's wrong was wrong. This guy was, when
totally in the
Mr. Castillo got killed, you know what I'm saying, you could tell the police officer was very aggressive towards him. Like, he pulled his gun out on him, was shoot. You know, he was just super excited. Yeah, I don't even know how to explain it. He was like the police officer was real anxious seeing it, you know.
Yeah, acting like he was scared. He wasn't scared. I mean, you got
No, he wasn't scared. Yeah, it wasn't scared. It was a different type of energy. It was like I said, he was aggressive, and it was a nervous type of energy.
The enmity that the Bible talks about between man and serpent. It's that enmity that automatic, no matter what you do, they hate you regardless.
Regardless.
That hateful energy is there from the beginning.
Right.
So, and all you have to do is look the wrong way, move the wrong way, and they're going to kill you and say they're here for their lives, and they're going to get off.
Right.
Right.
But we as a people cannot allow that to continue, even though it was okay. It went all the way to the court. We can talk about that like we're talking about it now. But we still don't even know the police. I don't even know the police officer's name. We should be talking about that police officer to this day. We should be saying, yeah.
No, go ahead. Girl. I wasn't trying to cut you off. I was just agreeing with you. I agree.
Oh, no. But it's like you don't go anywhere without somebody with you. You know, just trying to keep your children safe, to let them know that this is out there. But the people I talked to, they thought everything. They had no idea. They had no plan. They hadn't been talked about. They thought that I was just being racist, and these were black kids. They thought I was being racist by what I was saying. And I was just like, oh, wow, okay. then what? How do we combat this? How do we? Because you can't unring a bell, and this is my whole entire thing. If you want to keep your child safe, even when they date, guess what? If my parents, if anybody went to date somewhere, you didn't go dating by yourself. You went in a group setting, or you went with your parents. You sat there in your parents'
house. But it's almost like you're saying that there's something that these people could have done to prevent the police from.
No, I'm not talking about what already has been done. I'm trying to keep the ones that are still here from having to go through that. I'm trying to keep it from unringing a bell.
When you say that, you're ignoring the fact that these people that have been killed or aggressed by police haven't done anything to deserve it. There's no way to prepare for someone to be aggressive with you regardless of what you do. You can't prepare for that.
Exactly.
Okay, so this is my thing. Okay, let me put it this way. So, did he die for nothing?
Yes.
I would say yes. He died for no apparent reason.
No,
when all that could have been prevented.
Okay, maybe I should say it like this: are we going to allow him to die for nothing? Because we have someone who can say that X, Y, and Z happened, and we got the video to show that this has happened. We should not no one's talking about it now. Everybody should be talking about this. And so we shouldn't allow every time we pass that, we go somewhere, we should be talking about that police officer and his name. We should be talking about the police officer that precinct. We should know that this is blah 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 blah, and we should always keep the pressure on them.
But I think it's already.
He did die for nothing.
But I think the pressure is on. The pressure is still on. Like I don't think that pressure ever releases. When there's ever talk about any type of police brutality, these characters are always brought up. Mr. Castillo's always brought up. There's always a Trayvon Martin that's always brought up. Like these people, we still talk about these people in the press conferences or whatever the case may be. Like they haven't, their names hadn't gone away.
Yeah, we have his name.
Yeah, we talk about that. But what is it doing? But what is it? Because he's still living his life. He's still walking around in these streets. Okay. Right. Not only that, he got money. He got money for selling the gun that killed Trayvon Martin. Okay. He auctioned that gun off. So it's not his trial. He got money from that. He got money from his from GoFundMe. He's living his life, okay? There's nothing wrong with him, okay? He's still walking around and probably with a chip on his shoulder, all right? So that's not the case. Well, you can still. My thing is we're going through all this stuff. There's nothing to prevent these situations from happening to anybody of color.
So we're just going to talk about it and not try to find a solution.
What are we going to do at this point?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we going to do? It feels like it's only getting worse. I feel like we're getting thrown back in time. I feel like it's getting close to like the 60s and 70s time frame again, or 50s, right. 50s and 60s, whenever time was really bad.
1920. It always back to 1920.
No, I mean, it has never been great for black people in this country. Period.
Yeah.
It just never been that way for us in this country. So at this point, I'm like, what do you want to do? Because we done marched. Because we done marched with Martin Luther King. We done had Malcolm X. You know what I'm saying? They got assassinated. We had Marcus Garvey, who got kicked out of the country. We had so many different leaders, that stood up. We had the Black Panthers that were for the community, right? That stood up for the community, that were combating, against police brutality, and they all got taken down from the inside out. You know what I'm saying? At what point are you going to say, okay, enough is enough. This is not working for us. And this is my opinion, and I say this is not working for us here. Okay. And now we got this situation where we have our cities that were known as black cities like D.C., was known as Chocolate City at one point, is now totally gentrified. We got Baltimore, which still is predominantly black, is now being gentrified. We got Chicago, that is now being gentrified. We got Los Angeles, that is now being gentrified. You know what I'm saying? Now black people are only 6% of the population in Los Angeles now. You see what I'm saying? So at one point, are you going to say, yo, this is not working for us and move forward? It's not working for us here. And everything that we've done, and we fought more than anybody else in this country. We fought in every war in this country and still don't get the respect that we deserve.
Okay. And so we do what now? So what's your option? So other than just to sit back and take it, and if you die, you die?
No. My way I see it now, we either go somewhere else, leave this country, or we all move to one area in this country.
Right.
Okay.
That's the only option.
Okay.
So, and for me, to take a smaller scale, this is what I've been talking about, is as a family, we need to bring ourselves in, pull everybody back from all these different states, and so that we can become self-sustaining, at least as a family, if nothing else. Because what James is talking about is generations in the future, more than likely. But this is something that we can affect changing now, as far as getting ourselves, pulling ourselves back and moving ourselves back to home station, and starting to cut those ties with society that we have that we're so dependent.
Right.
Okay. So where do we start? Where do we start to do this? Where are we getting the finances? How are we getting the mentality together? Where do we start?
I say it starts with us. If, like I said, and I agree with Tiffany, it starts within the family.
Right.
It starts with pulling our resources together, because we already have enough funds. We already have enough funds to get a large compound between all of us that's working.
Okay. Okay, and we do what? So what is the...
From there...
I'm sorry, I keep hitting mute and then forget that I'm muted. But pulling resources, secure property, and start developing land so that we can grow on it. And just start. I mean, that's pretty much the bottom line. I think the best idea, we're getting short on time, so we can't really dive too deep into this, but the best idea is to set a time when we want to see this into fruition and work backwards from there. Like if this is a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan or a 15-year plan, then we need to start there and then tackle all the larger pieces first, which would be the land and building actual homes on the land, and actually the logistics of moving families from where they're at and move backwards from there.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. But even let's just say that we're taking it from everybody else's hands and we're going back to our family right now. So we do what? Now we got property. So what are we doing with it? Because we can't continue to say we need to do this, but then that's not my responsibility. We got, at some point, somebody's gonna have to stand up and say, this is what we're doing. This is how we're doing it. This is what I think should. This is what I have started. This is blah 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 blah. So how do we do this?
Well, as far as our family, and like I said, we're getting short on time. We really cannot lay out an entire 10-year plan right now because we're really short on time.
Right.
But it goes back to what I told you, what James told you a couple weeks ago. It goes back to you, my mother, and Reggie, because right now y'all are the heads of our branch of the family.
Okay.
Because you guys have possession of our number one capital resource, which is the land and property. Y'all have that. So
we're doing this, but I can't do it by myself. Your mom can't do it by herself. Red can't do it by himself. Somebody's going to have to be standing behind someone. Say that again?
Yes.
Yep.
You just said the magic word.
Okay.
None of you can do it by yourself.
Okay.
So if you learn how to come together, then you can make a difference. But as long as black folks treat each other like they don't love each other, or they don't, respect one another, this is what the outcome is always going to be. And this is what the outcome has continued to be.
Yeah,
right.
lack of respect.
And so
not even just
until
us as a people, this is I think this is what I'm talking about, as far as we're going to have to call in the one who created us, and not the spooky way, not going to church, this is something he put his covenants and commandments. If we follow those, everybody will. I remember when everybody got their land, as far as the Israelites, but you had to fight. You fought to get to this part, and this is so-and-so's land. Now, you leave the women and children right there. Now, we are going to leave, and we're going to go and fight for so-and-so, another fight for somebody else's land until we have done. But we can't just do it just that way. It's not that simple.
Well, I guess that's something that we all sit down and talk about, But
right.
It's not a quick answer type of situation. But if you are serious about coming together, then you will make certain things happen.
Right.
You'll make certain things happen. So that's all I got to say about that.
Oh my God! Because certain things, I'm doing what I feel like the only part that I can do, and so outside of that, what I'm saying is we're going to have to realistically go to God, do a self-assessment, and let God handle it from there. But as we do what we need to do, and so my thing is, then what do we do now? How do we do this? And so we're gonna end it here and then start, because this is a good way to start a sequel. So we're gonna start this next sequence of this conversation next week, because I know we've been on the phone for not quite an hour yet, but we're almost there. But
an hour and 15 minutes.
Yeah. We've been on there for an hour and 15 minutes, but we were there for 10 minutes or 15 minutes.
8 minutes.
Before
we were there for 8
started
minutes.
Recording.
Before we started recording. Don't get me started now.
Yeah.
I've been on. Don't get me started.
I don't know what you just said. But yes, so I'm thinking this is so we will we're gonna come, because we have to start with us before we can say what we need to do, and so we have to start here. And no one can continue to say it's not my responsibility, it's not mine, and because this is what's been going on from the ages, and put a pin in it. And we're going to say, our thing is, do something. Get involved. Know what you learn everything. And if somebody else is already, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. If you got somebody who already knows this, then you get with that person. And the person who knows the steering wheel, who knows the tires, then you go to that person for the tires. And if you need to have a infrastructure or whatever takes all those tires and put them together, then you let that person, you respect that person and put them to that task, and make sure that you stand behind them and make sure that you push them to do that. We're going to have to stand for ourselves and stop waiting for somebody else to do it for us. And so this is where we're going with this. We started, and police brutality is there, and it's going to be there. But God. And if you say you believe, then put your money where your mouth is. Now, don't just do lip service, and allow and to make that step and to do whatever God that needs you to be. Don't press it. Don't go out there and say, I'm going to do this. No, you don't make a step unless you know. And if you know who he is, then he will lead you to where you have to go. I'm not going to keep on talking. I'm going to, because this is a very good conversation that we're having now. I'm going to turn it over to James and Tiffany to say their soliloquies and to say whatever they need to say, and we're going to end it, but we will start it again next week. And we're going to have to try, I think we're going to do this a different way. I don't know whether we can record this or an actual picture recording. I don't know how we're going to do this, but we're going to do this, and I like it the way that it is right now. So for right now, this is where we're going to be meeting it, is it the ties that bind. But in the meantime, I'm going to Tiffany and I'm going to James, and we're going to say, because we haven't been on here an hour yet.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and say my goodbye. Thank you, family, for joining us. I appreciate your time. I hope we were able to bring some things to your mind that maybe you hadn't thought about before. If there's anything that we left out or you want to add your own personal story or something that you heard about or you know about, please email us. You can find us at tiesthatbind.com. You can find us on Podbean/tiesthatbind or Facebook /tiesthatbind.
Any answers that you have, not just questions, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just want to give everybody a chance to, think about, what could you do to start at home, to start in the family?
Right.
What else could you bring to the table? Who else could you join with? If you see that there's a consistent problem going on in your community, that's not being fixed. All right, even when you're crying and pleading to whatever forces at B in your community are not helping you with. All right, so what can you do to take back your community? All right, so give that a thought. And I say, in this life, we're taught many things, but I challenge you to find what matters the most, and that is yourself. Know your past so you can operate in the present and secure the future you always dreamed of. Thank you.
Yes. And I'm going to end by saying we've woken up, so stay up. And until we speak with you again, we love you. Be blessed, and I hope you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening. Love you. Goodbye.